What a way to
brilliant.
start the day.
Lads, welcome to episode 100. Get the whiskey up now. And we have an old...
It's a celebration.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers to the lads.
100.
Slán
Slán there you go.
100 episodes of sometimes dog shit.
The majority of the time, utter dog shit. So, we're here for episode 100 in the belly of the beast, Greenridge.
County
Kilkenny, the farm, joined by my father, Michael Rice Sr. And I suppose I was telling them with the Patreon episode recently, but I was kind of telling them as to how we kind of ended up in Greenridge, or like, you know, because there was some foul kind of play went on with Kate Rice.
Yeah. There was this place was Heffernan's one time.
Yeah.
And James Heffernan was to be married to Anne Meany.
Yeah.
And
He did know Anne Meany, didn't he?
yeah.
Yeah.
And Anne had a wedding dress bought that should stand on the floor, as they say around here. And so Kate Rice met James in Jack C. Jackman's cafe
Aiton
in
House.
John Street. Well, Aiton House,
Jackman's
you know.
Aiton
I'm trying
House.
to be refined here, Michael.
This isn't the podcast to be refined on, don't worry.
These people have a collective IQ of about 50 between 25,000 of them.
Yeah, well, anyhow, she came in and there was one table, one person at it, and that was James Heffernan. So she said, "Can I sit down with you?" And sure, he said, "You're welcome." And
Was he a fine-looking man, Heffernan?
yeah, fine-looking man by all accounts. Yeah, and she was a fine-looking woman.
You're
a good
Aunt
match.
Kate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whatever transpired, anyhow, he decided that he'd marry her. Instead of Anne Meany, even though the wedding was only a month out or
She
so.
had the dress bought.
The dress that had stand on the floor.
Yeah. So,
For fuck's
like,
sake.
this is 100 years on and they haven't spoken to us since.
The Manies. They
Yeah.
never, well, I suppose, yeah, they never forgave us for
They
that.
never forgave us.
No.
So, that was it. She married James Heffernan.
She seduced him.
And 6 months later, he was a bit off form in the bed, and she was giving him chicken soup.
Only chicken soup, she was.
And
Now, when you say off form in the bed, does that mean he was unwell or he wasn't performing?
he was just unwell. In those days, they didn't discuss non-performance or performance. So we take it he was just unwell in the ill line. So she poured the chicken broth down his neck anyway, and she said, "Will you take it to hell and don't be annoying?" And
Force fed him.
Yeah.
Force fed, like the Price
And
sisters.
he died. So that was the end of it.
Heffernan died.
Yeah.
Poisoned.
Drowned in chicken
Well,
soup.
the saying was around here at the time that she killed him with kindness and choked him with chicken soup. That was the thing. So 6 months in anyway, she owned the farm. And that was, sure, whether you call it a good day's work or however you felt about it. But we're here anyway, we're here still.
But so Kate, she married Heffernan, killed Heffernan, and then 6 months later, and then she brought her brother.
Her brother, Pat Rice, came here. And
She brought him in to run the farm.
yes, well, to help her to
Right.
run it, you know.
Yeah.
And one can't be saying in these days that women, can't run things. And
No, they can't. They can run things.
Yeah,
They
you
can,
can't
and they
say
should.
that
Yeah.
anymore.
No.
You can't say
Anyway,
nothing
she
anymore.
brought
You can't
Pat
say nothing.
Rice.
Yeah.
And so about 6 months later, he was dead because he died with pneumonia from
Cold chicken soup.
well, no, he was lambing sheep, and he was out in the hay barn and drafts and cold, and he got pneumonia and he died.
Sure, everyone that went near Kate Rice had a gory end, really, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, at least that left an opportunity for my grandfather, who was Michael Rice also.
By God.
Some
line of men.
Came here.
Yeah.
With his children and his wife and that. And that's how we're here since anyhow.
So that was your father.
However,
then? Was
my grandfather.
Yeah, but your father was a son of Michael Rice then that came.
Yes.
Right. And
is your father Michael Rice as well, or is he? Or does it
Pat
skip?
Rice.
He's Pat, so it's Michael, Pat, Michael.
Yes.
That's right. Well, so my older brother is Pat
It's
as
Michael,
well.
Michael, Pat.
That's right, yeah. We love Michaels and Pats. But so, and then how then, pray tell now, and I said this on the Patreon as well, but I'd like you to tell the story. How did Granny, your mother, my granny, our beloved granny, Sheila, who used to live in the room just over here and who kind of raised us growing up, a great woman, a God-fearing woman. You wouldn't find the likes of her much anymore.
No. They're all out trying to run things.
Godless heathens who believe in nothing. But anyway, it'd make you sick. But, make you sick to your stomach. Most of these fucks wouldn't believe in a thing now, did Jesus.
Yeah, God help them. They don't know where they're going.
Weak, spineless creatures. But so tell me now, and how did Granny end up here?
Well, I suppose the start of the next generation came when a horse died.
A horse died in Greenwich.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Sorry.
Sorry to hear that.
As you know, you need two horses to plough with and do various things with.
Yeah.
And so on the Kilkenny People, our neighbour, Tommy Comerford.
So the Kilkenny People is the local paper. Yeah.
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 Saw an ad from Carrickshock, the place near Hugginstown, one side of Knocktofer, Kilkenny, for a horse. And so him and a friend of his went. My father didn't go. And the horse looked all right and bought the horse. So my father was about 45 years old at this stage. Wasn't married. And
was he kind of a queer hawker? Why would no one marry him? And he had a load of land.
Yeah, well, he just didn't have it across the neck to ask women, you know, what men should ask women.
Come here to me and I ride you kind of thing.
Well, I wouldn't say it was as
coarse as that.
In those days.
Yeah.
The church had a big, you know, the local priest wouldn't
come here
be
to me and
impressed with that.
We say a few Our Fathers kind of thing.
Anyway...
You'll be on your knees either way.
For God's sake! Jesus! Would you keep... This is in the Rice family home. Have a bit of decency. For Christ's sake. Our granny just lived in that room.
Don't be... spirit is still
for
here.
God's sake. Polluting the moral...
No.
Yeah,
but
Jesus
in
Christ.
any case...
Yeah.
The horse was sorted. But he saw my mother... down there, and he thought she might have suited as well.
As well as the horse?
Yeah.
As a kind of an add-on to the horse, or a bonus?
Like a buy one, get one free type thing.
Well, that was it. There was a farm there, and my father was on his own, and it was, I suppose, land was very important, and you needed sons for land, and you needed women to provide sons. So it was,
Simple math.
Simple enough.
Yeah.
And so he told me father that there was this girl down there, you know, unmarried. She was 27 years of age, and to know, would he have a look at her? So he drove down there anyway one Sunday, and he looked at her and he said,
"What did they put her up in the crush or in a pen, a holding pen? Have a look at her."
Doing laps. She's walking around in a circle.
I don't think they had crushes in those days, but in any case, he thought she looked all right.
Yeah.
And a deal was done.
A deal was done.
And my mother came to Greenridge.
Now, when you say a deal was done now, because the families then get involved, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's kind of haggling going on.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know in this case, I just found papers when my mother died.
Yeah.
And it took 2 days in the solicitor's office to sort out the money.
To hammer out a deal.
Hammer out a deal.
To bring Sheila Murphy to Greenridge.
Yeah.
It was a
and
big signing. It was like when Neymar went to PSG kind of thing.
Something like that.
She's taking her talents to Greenridge.
Yeah. And the money was £500, and she was to get joint ownership in the farm.
Yeah.
And that ended up the deal. And there was minutes taken over 2 days, and this was what was the outcome of it.
Yeah. So Granny then came down, but she wasn't. Granny was kind of during the deal, the negotiations. She was promised then that she wouldn't have to work on the farm.
Yeah.
And she was going to have a cart bringing her out to town. She thought she was going to be like the Queen of France down there, didn't she?
Yeah, that didn't quite
It
work
didn't
out.
work out.
Really. Yeah.
So poor old Granny was Jesus was nearly killed working, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she really. She had to work hard. There was no question, and rear children and milk cows and feed calves and sprout out dung and all the bits and pieces.
They don't make women like that anymore now.
No, it would appear the blood is after running a bit thin. And that one,
as they say, what was the saying that when you had said the days were long and the
days were long, and the work was hard, and the days were long, and however you worked, you'd earn it all.
That's right. Yeah. Nasty. A nasty existence that you had to go through.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so Granny gets here. That's grand. They've done the deal. Herself and your father. She ends up having to work a lot on the farm anyway. Next thing, she has a clatter of children.
Yeah, there was 5 of us.
Yeah.
And there was one child before me. Now, I came to own the farm by virtue of the fact that I was the oldest.
Come on, the fuck.
But
Good
there
stuff.
was one child lost before me.
This is genuinely the first I've ever heard about this now.
Really?
I've never heard this before. You've never told me that now.
Yeah, so
like
other than that, I don't know what I would have done, because I was committed. I thought land, and I still do think land is the most important thing in the world.
If you were to say top 3 things off the top of your head, number 1,
well, land.
Number 2,
breeding,
right?
Number 3.
Yeah.
Number 3,
a work ethic.
A work
I'd
ethic,
say,
all
is
right.
the work in the yard.
4
That's-
sausages, surely.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
5's whiskey.
5 whiskey. Oh, my God. Another cheers. Get her up. You're out of whiskey there, are you? Jeez, you're like
Out of whiskey.
you're like
That
a
was
little
quick
sucky
enough.
calf drinking the whiskey over there. Look at him. Oh, for fuck's sake. I want everyone to know it's not even 1 p.m. in the day and we're getting absolutely
Whiskey
slaughtered.
Morning.
was for nothing.
But so, land, breeding, sausages. Now, when you say breeding now, to let everyone know here, and you can correct me now if I'm wrong, the idea is that if you're running a farm, what you need to do is keep the bloodline pure.
Yes.
So it's kind of Hitler had a similar idea. But so what you do is, if you're from land, you need to marry someone
Who's into land?
who's also from land. So
Yeah.
they're from the
Yes.
And how
So you-
much land is land? Because my mum and dad have a back garden, but that doesn't feel like land.
that wouldn't be land now.
Yeah, well, it depends, but land.
I know
as
well
in
you don't
farming.
think you're trying to be nice now, but you think that's wake breeding now over there.
Well, no, we can't. There's like the women and a lot of things we can't be saying now.
Yeah.
What used to be taken for granted a few years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't, but
Yeah.
you understand.
Weak. It's very simple. Weak breeding, strong breeding, and that's about as much as you need to know. Am I right in saying that?
Well, Now, okay. Yeah.
But so anyway, so if you marry a woman from land,
Yes.
that gives you the best chance of having a child who will also be attached to the land.
Absolutely.
Right,
yeah.
and be able to work the land. So anyway, you then ended up having Patrick first, then me.
Yes.
Now, would you have said the breeding went right there?
Well, I suppose it's, I mean, again, it's debatable, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something wasn't entirely right somewhere, but
What do you think could have went wrong there? Was it the kind of time of year or conception, or there was some kind of something in the air, or because yeah.
Well, sure, I don't know. Sure, like my son James did turn out well, in fairness.
Right. Yeah.
And then there was
That was third
Patrick.
time. There was third time lucky. Patrick, the oldest one. Yeah.
Patrick, the oldest one, and I mean the story with Patrick was that, and I remember when Patrick was born, and I was up in my wife's home place. And the phone rang, and
Ballyraggett,
for me.
my mother's from Ballyregret. It's often known as. Not much good comes out of there, but anyway, carry on.
And a nurse from the Rotunda rang, and she looked for me, and I answered the phone, and she said, "Congratulations," she said, "you have a son."
By God.
And I was absolutely delighted. I said, "Me land is safe at last, thanks be to God." So, anyhow, my mother-in-law, Betsy's mother, a lovely woman.
Yeah. Granny Gannon.
We set out for Dublin, and just a funny thing happened on the way. The Angelus bell rang on the wireless. And sure, I was a bit befuddled, and I couldn't actually think of the responses,
Yeah.
So to my dying day, I will see the look on her face when she looked at me, and she said, "Do you not know the Angelus?"
And she was thinking, this is the father of my daughter's
grandchild.
A godless man.
A useless, godless,
pure fool.
fucking heathen.
Yeah, and I could have,
Not a brain in his head.
That was bad enough, but when I went to Dublin, and I saw my oldest son, my first son.
He was born 6 weeks premature, wasn't he? Or 6 or nearly 2 months.
Yeah, he was only king. 2 pounds weight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was a tiny, and his head was in a little goldfish bowl type thing. And God, I said, he's wake enough to tell the truth. But anyhow,
it was you thought it was a wake effort. We'll need to go again.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll make a better effort.
We'll make a better effort next time, and that's a good attitude. It's like, look, we won't cry over spilled milk. This one I can tell useless. Next one, next ball.
Yeah.
Keep your head in the game. And we'll go get. And sure, you had me then nearly within a year of that.
That's right.
And I came out. Then I was a big. Because then I came out. I was.
You were a big lump.
Oh, I was a big fucker. Yeah, big, strong, hardy baby.
And what happened?
Yeah.
What went wrong?
It's hard to know now. Maybe I stayed breastfeeding too long or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but something kind of
did happen anyway.
Something
along the way. Because I put my faith in breeding, and I didn't really.
Yeah, but there's something kind of made me a bit queer, or kind of muddy the waters a bit.
Did Mammy go to a disco, or
What the hell?
Sorts of things.
What kind of? What are you saying, that someone else is my father?
All sorts of things run through your mind.
What the fuck?
I said, this lad is not going to mind the land.
Well, at what point did it become clear that Michael wasn't going to run the land?
Well, fairly early on, even with Patrick, I said...
Patrick,
the first time I lost faith in Patrick was I was lying under a silage harvester.
Yeah.
And I said to Patrick, would you pass me a 17 spanner there?
Yeah.
And Patrick was tipping a bar on the different bits of the harvester, and he said, deadly sound.
Yeah.
So he was more interested in the
the
what
sound.
do you do in the
Percussion.
end of the harvester than he was in the
Facing the silerator.
Yeah. So I said, I'm in trouble here for sure.
Yeah.
And then Michael came, and I think I was in a bit more trouble.
Well, I think though now, and looking back, as Dad would say, Dad would tell us now, he'd say, you're not worth shooting, and you don't have the hands to wipe your arse, which instills us with a lot of confidence as 5-year-olds. But but that would but you did, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong now, you thought because of breeding, because you had we'll say copulated with a woman of land, our beloved mother Betsy, that we would kind of come out of the womb kind of just knowing how to weld and stuff.
Yes. That's what I did actually think.
Yeah.
But,
so you didn't really think you'd have to teach us anything?
No. I thought to be there.
It'd be kind of just inherent, or inbuilt or genetic.
Yeah.
And then obviously Jimser took over the land. But I'm going to bring you back now to your own journey now to becoming. Would you call yourself now? Would it be fair to say that you would call yourself the Lord and Master of Greenwich?
Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be fair comment.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm only saying that because I've often heard you refer to yourself in the third person as the Lord and Master.
Well, somebody has to be in charge, you know.
Yeah.
If you're not getting the respect from anywhere else, you might as well show it to yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. And looking at, and I know you'd look across the world and you'd kind of feel maybe, as you're kind of the master of your domain and kingdom, you'd feel maybe a kinship with other world leaders like Putin or Kim Jong-un or these kind of people. You'd have more empathy for them as a man who himself has to make difficult decisions. And, you know, I suppose we could view Roaches, the neighbours, in a lot of ways as Ukraine. And there might be a day that we have to go in there and take what's probably rightfully ours. You know?
Yeah, you have a point there, Michael. But, you know, I wouldn't put a timeline on it. Or, you know,
well, patience.
Yeah. We'll wait out
the
in the long grass.
Yeah.
You know, we have time
Till they're weak.
Yeah.
And then we'll go in. But so
offer them a chicken soup every so often.
Exactly, that could be a very good idea.
But so Dad, when you were growing up anyway, and there was 5 of you in the house, and you were the eldest. So as the eldest, especially in them times, the idea was that you would take over the farm.
Yeah, that's how things were then.
Yeah. So you're the man of the house.
Yeah,
in a lot of
you're
ways.
The firstborn.
Yeah,
you have an option.
Yes,
and so that's how it was with me. I suppose Pat, my next brother, would have probably made a better farmer than me, but was just tough shit.
Yeah. Fuck him.
Go fuck yourself.
He wasn't born in time, you know.
Later.
And on the other hand, the man that died older than me, I would have been in trouble if he had to live.
You would have been rightly fucked, wouldn't you?
What do you think you would have ended up doing?
I just can't imagine. I couldn't. I have given that some thought, Vittorio, and I just can't imagine what I might have done. Because wherever else I would have been,
might you have went up north and joined the movement?
Yeah, well, that would be a thing. Yeah, but you're just king of the dunghill, and you just I've never done a day's work in my life. Do you know?
Yeah, for anyone else, I guess.
Yeah. And
You take that drop of that there now.
so
I'm going to refill these
I don't
whiskies.
know how. I don't know what would have happened.
Mm.
You know.
And what did your younger brothers end up doing?
My brother Pat bought a small farm down the road.
Crucially smaller than this one.
Yeah,
After only an old fucking excuse.
yeah. And he worked in the
Only an old
Department of
fucking-
Agriculture all his
Right,
life.
right.
Yeah.
For 50 years.
Yeah.
And he's retired just recently.
Yeah.
So he would have liked to farm here, but
He would have loved to. I'd say.
he got on okay.
I wouldn't have been surprised if there wasn't a time now Pat might have thought, do you know what would make your life a lot easier if you drank an old bowl of chicken soup?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, or go off and marry one with a bit of land, or
Yeah.
do you know, that was always an option,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a good option because you know, I've seen a good few lads, even friends of mine, that did that.
Married women with land.
Yeah.
Tried to marry into the place.
Well, they married into the place,
Yeah.
but they would have been what you'd known as a cock lodger.
A cock lodger.
You know,
Explain that now.
They would have provided her with children,
Yeah.
and they'd be only less than a workman
They'd kind of
all
sleep
the days of their
sleeping
lives.
under the stairs, eating nothing but kind of being fed porridge through a hole.
Well,
kind of thing.
not quite that maybe, but
Right.
not too far off it.
They'd have to sit in the back seat of the car kind of a thing.
Exactly.
On the way
Yeah.
to mass.
They wouldn't get the respect as Lord and Master of the
Yeah,
land.
and then when the oldest chap or one of the sons got older,
They bait the fuck out of him.
They did the business.
Yeah.
And that poor man, you know, was left
Only an old,
pushing a wheelbarrow around the yard and
only an old
things like that.
Only an old half man, a shadow of a man.
Well, yeah, kind of. You
A
know.
spineless old crater, like a lot of these people watching now, wheelbarrow pushers.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of these fuckers would be. They'd be Lord and Master of sweet fuck all.
Yeah,
Anyway,
well, she'd never
Yeah.
relinquish power anyway.
no,
She'd
no.
sign the checks.
The
and-
women, they wouldn't relinquish power now.
No.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
What would you say? What was that phrase now?
The women would be a bit like my poor old father used to say, put a beggar on horseback and they'll ride to hell, you know. If you
Right.
give a woman power,
Yeah.
you're in real trouble.
And is that what happened with Thatcher, do you think?
Yeah, I could be sure her poor husband was
Yeah.
always pretty miserable.
Pushing a wheelbarrow out the back of 10 Downing Street. Fucking out
Tending the lamb.
wake out crater, you know. But and what's the one? A woman in Dinaura V's.
Oh, my father used to say, you know, and my mother was contrary enough, even though. But anyway, he used to say, woman in Dinaura V's, contrary, cross, and hard to please.
By God.
And the Aura V's bit was being sarcastic because, as we all know, women are never at ease.
That's right. You've heard it here now. You charlatans.
They're never happy only when they're tormenting a poor lad. Really.
Cut that now. But so, Dad, when you were in school, we'll say, you would have known that you were coming home to farm.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't really have had much time for the teachers or respect even for that whole kind of, which is called being a teacher. Is that just acting the fucking maggot, is it?
Well, sure, there's two of my friends now have oldest sons that wouldn't farm.
Wouldn't work to warm themselves.
Yeah.
If there was work in the bed, they'd sleep on the floor.
Well, something like that.
Yeah.
They made teachers out of them.
Oh, that'd sicken you now.
Yeah.
What's those who can't do teach?
That's right.
Yeah, that's something.
And those
like
who can't
that.
teach PE.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Well, that's.
So these teachers, you're in there. You're a young lord and master of an estate here in Greenridge. a powerful man,
Now you have it.
a man
Michael.
of breeding, a man of stature, a man of integrity.
Yeah, take it handy now, Mike.
and you're going in there and you have these kind of wake creators telling you what to do. Did that sicken your hole now?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I didn't. Like, a man told me one day, he said, I was left school, of course, at 14 years old. I was 2 years into Kieran's College at that time.
Yeah.
And this man came to me, you know, in a very nice way.
Yeah.
And he said, he said, if you've anything to be doing at all at home, he said, maybe you'd be better off doing it than coming in here.
Annoying everyone.
Yeah, so I stayed at home at that stage, and
Yeah.
I'm here since.
So you're here since you're flat out since you're 14.
Well, I'm here anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flat out is in question. But, and we're dairy farmers, so when we grew up, so you milk cows every morning and every evening.
Milk cows every morning,
and
every
what would you
evening
say
since.
is the one thing in the world you hate doing?
I hate milking cows, but we're on it. Yeah. We're on a wet old farm that's not great for tillage or anything else, so we've no option only to milk cows.
Yeah, and you hate the sight
But
of the
I
fucker.
hate the sight of them. But,
So growing up, that, you know, Dad hates milking out, so we have to do it every morning, every evening. So you would kind of instill us with, I suppose, a philosophy on life is that life is a miserable, wet, cold, dark charade, and you just try to get through it and fucking die with as much dignity as you can.
exactly. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you work till you die, and hopefully you'll fall dead in the yard.
Yeah.
And that's the best you can
That'd be an honourable
hope for.
death.
Be like a Japanese sabuku, you know, like an honourable, you know. Would you ever think of doing that? Maybe falling on your own sword in the middle of the yard,
On your own fork or whatever.
Yeah, that's just be a lot of old pain maybe, and you might die for a while.
That wouldn't be great. No.
What do you think is the easiest type of farm to be running, or what would be the most fun? What farm? If you could have any type of farm, what do you think would be the best one?
Yeah, a big tillage farm, I would think.
Now, can you explain to a city slicker like me what on earth you're talking about?
Yeah, well, if you sow corn and I just happen to like machinery.
Wow.
So I would like 1,000 acres of tillage.
So tillage is like vegetables, like corn, beef,
Corn,
potato.
Harvesting, no animals.
Yeah, no animals.
He hates the cows.
Yeah.
They stare at you and they
have the
taunt
roar of
you.
a big engine in front of you, and the open countryside ahead of you, and a big harrow or a cedar behind you, and
A bit of peace, a bit of time to yourself.
a bit of peace, and that's right.
Man and machine as one.
Exactly.
Like it was meant to fucking be.
Yeah. As some poet said, half man, half machine.
That's right. Yeats, I believe. But we're stuck with the cows. You had to milk cows. And when you were growing up, you were poor now.
Yeah.
You didn't have an arse in your britches.
No, we didn't even have a britches.
But you still had the knowledge in your head
Yeah.
that we're landed people.
Yeah.
Landed people.
It could be worse.
It could be a lot.
That could be worse.
It could be a lot.
We could have a lot of money and no land.
That's
that
right.
would be much worse.
Just the back garden.
And just a back garden, and then Italian heritage. It could have gone very wrong. So you can only count your blessings. But so you left school, and sure, at that point, you know, you need to find a woman.
Yeah.
An old woman who let you, you know, lie down beside her and whatever else. But you need to find a woman. Now, was this lying heavily on you now?
Well, I suppose a point came, I was coming up sort of 33, 34, 35.
About your age.
About my age now. Easy there now. This is a different time.
And at that time, for a little else to be doing, but I kept a diary.
Yeah.
And so it
Like
came
Anne Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said I must do something about a son.
You wrote that in your diary?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Where would you write in your diary now? Would you be up in your room kind of and thinking things and...
No, while I was milking. Usually I didn't think of anything else while I was milking, so...
Yeah, you'd be
did
trying
it
to
every
escape.
evening. Yeah. So on the top of the old milk pump, I'd have a bit of paper and I'd write down things.
Things you wanted.
Thoughts,
This is what's
that I
known
had.
in modern day parlance of like young kind of hip people. They call it the law of attraction. It's where you write down what you want and then that will make it more likely to manifest itself into reality.
You were ahead of your time.
You were ahead of your time.
Yeah, was I?
You were.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're journaling,
yeah.
you're doing your morning pages.
You're doing your morning page, you're journaling, you're exploring your inner thoughts and wants and needs and...
Yeah.
You'll be on Diary of a CEO by the end of the week.
That's
Yeah.
right. You were doing stretches and yoga and kind of...
yeah, well, I don't remember that bit now, but,
you can't remember everything.
No.
That's why you write it down.
That's why you write it down. That's right.
Yeah.
So you write down anyway. You write down, I must do something about his son. Did it feel like, famously, there was a lot of pressure on Henry VIII, who needed an heir.
Well, there's that kind of thing,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Keep the whole thing going.
Yeah.
But even when he got the wives, he gave a fair number of them chicken soup.
He did.
Yeah.
There was a chicken
He
soup
used to
banquet
start
for the
it.
wives.
He used to start his speeches by saying, I won't keep you long.
So anyway, you write down, I must do something about his son. Now, were you kind of courting different women at the time, or were you?
Yeah.
Did everyone kind of see you as a bit of a kind of an old queer hawk now that?
No, there was. I was in Machra at the time.
So
and
Machra is
different things
an
and-
organisation for young. Would you say young kind of? Is it a kind of young horny farmers?
Yeah.
Looking for women and
Yeah.
James and Grace now would have met. James, who you saw playing piano last night at the carol service, they would have met.
Yeah, their child now would be known as a Machra baby.
A Machra baby.
Yeah.
Because they met in Machra.
Exactly.
And sure, as soon as they got together, then they left because you've got what you needed.
Yes, yeah.
So it's kind of like a youth group for kind of people who wear
needy
brown
farmers.
shoes. Yes.
I get tender.
Love hungry farmers.
Now you have it, Michael.
There you go.
So the story was dinners were a great thing
Yeah.
because you had to have a woman to go to a dinner.
Yeah.
And dinners were fashionable at a time.
Yeah. This was post-famine, so people were really into dinner.
Yeah.
There's still an old buzz about it.
There's still a buzz about it.
Anyhow,
Going
I
around.
was left Machra for a while and we happened to be draining the bog as we'd know around here.
Yeah.
And that went on for a while and I was involved with my neighbours and that. And one of my neighbours in the process got a heart attack.
Yeah.
He went into the hospital and I was sort of finished work maybe at 9:30. I arrived in to see him at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So this lady, who was the ward sister, came in and she told me to get the hell out of there.
Get the fuck out, you pup.
Yeah, you're 2 hours. You know, it's been 2 hours since visiting times ended, you know, and what kind of an ignoramus.
And at that point, is there any part of you that wants to say, do you have any idea who I am?
Well,
I'm the Lord.
I'd say she kind of had an idea in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm the Lord and Master of Greenridge, yeah.
So
Yeah,
Pat
well,
Maney
washerwoman.
was the man in the bed.
Pat Maney.
Yeah.
Would this be related to the Maneys now that we wronged?
No.
Different,
It's
I was
completely
gonna
different.
say,
They
goodness
still don't
me.
talk to us.
Okay.
Yeah, 120 years on.
That's some grudge.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But around here, grudges are, you know, they go to the grave.
Passes the
That's it.
time anyway.
But I'm telling it a bit backwards. He said he says, there's a one here,
Yeah.
and she's busting for a man.
Busting at the seams for a man.
So anyway, the one comes in and she says this, you're 2 hours, and she's very cross.
She kicks you out.
Yeah. But anyway, there's a macra dinner coming up.
Yeah.
I don't have a woman.
Yeah.
And I get your one's number and I ring her and she says, no.
You said, will you come to the Mocker dinner with Michael Rice of Greenridge, Lord and Master
and
Greenridge?
She says no.
She says no, for fuck's
And
sake.
then a few seconds actually after, she said, I suppose times are hard. And she says, one doesn't turn down dinners in hard times.
That was very economical of her.
Yeah.
Kind of an austere attitude.
Yeah.
Thatcherite. Yes.
So the thing was, she came the dinner was cancelled because there was snow and frost and everything, and there was weather warnings and all the rest of it.
Right.
So she said, sure, maybe we'll go out anyway and have dinner.
She says.
Yeah, sure.
She's mad to get a dinner out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was it, basically.
Yeah.
Went on from there.
But sure, then but then it ended at one point as well, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
She'd had enough of you.
Yeah, but sure, I knew well she'd be regretting it. Yeah, as she was.
Yeah.
And sure, she rang me up then to know. She said she was sorry, and
I don't think that is what happened. In fact, I know that's not what happened.
What's your side of the story?
Well, so then they had kind of Mama ended it with that. Stack just comes an hour late to everything, it's just driving everyone mental.
You
well, she did actually call out of a night, and I said, oh yeah, well, I called in of a night in the middle of the cows.
You did?
Yeah, into her house in
town.
Yeah, and I was, dripping of shit, and those who wanted milking cows.
Covered in cow
And
shit.
I said, I'm going to buy a new tractor, but I said, if we were going to do anything, positive or, figure it out yourself, I won't buy the tractor, and I'd hold on to the bit of money.
So let me get this straight now. You asked Ma'am to marry you by saying, cryptically, if we were to make things official in the next little while, I won't buy this tractor. But if we're not going to get married, basically, I will buy the fucking tractor. So
the garage man said, you have until 9 o'clock in the morning, make up your mind. There was a special offer on the tractor.
Right.
10 grand, 9:05, that offer is no more.
Done.
So I had gone in the night before, and Mammy said, well, she said, it's a big decision. That's the rest of my life gone.
Yeah.
And, I can't give you an answer just like that.
Yeah.
So I went back home and I met the rest of the cows, and I rang your man tomorrow and I said, Grand, that's a deal.
We'll take the tractor.
Yeah.
Because she can either say yes now or...
Yeah. So
an ultimatum's an ultimatum.
That's right. She's like, I need time. Well, the fucking deal on the tractor's done at 9:10 in the morning.
But Mammy called out that night and she stood at the end of the milking parlour and she said, well, did you buy the tractor?
Yeah.
I said I did. Your man gave me an answer. You wouldn't give me any answer.
Yeah.
And
at that point, were you nearly thinking of marrying the tractor fella?
Well,
you were thinking this is a fella you can at least deal with.
Yeah.
So I said, that's that. That's the end of Mammy then.
Yeah.
And so about an hour and a half later, I was finished. I went in, and my mother and Betsy were at the fire.
Yeah.
And I could hear them while I was taking off my Wellingtons.
Yeah.
Saying what an old bastard your man was. He was no good for anything, never was, never will be, and all the usual. So So that was it. She was there and she's still here.
She's still here. You held on to her.
Yeah.
A good landed woman.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Well, fair fucking play. And
I think definitely fair play. I think you can't complain about a man being an hour late to everything when the first time you met he was 2 hours late to something.
That's
Sure,
right.
That's
Yeah.
an improvement.
At least everything is an improvement from then on.
that's right.
Yeah.
You set your stall out fairly clearly.
Yeah.
You went from strength to fucking strength. And and Daddy, would you say now you'd have in general in life a philosophy? Because a lot of these people, like I said, kind of, they'd be kite men, you know, the wind would blow them away. Kind of
Yeah.
wake people would know, young people today, they've no moral compass.
You took the words out of my mouth.
That's
Michael.
right.
Yeah.
They've no North Star to follow. They
Yeah,
don't believe in
yeah.
God, man, nor beast.
No.
And would you say anything to them, try to get through to them on how they could maybe one day be a Lord and Master, or one day they too could hate their job? You know, would you have a philosophy?
Yeah, well, the nearest thing, I remember when I was 19 years old, I was at what they call leadership courses through Machra in Dublin, many years ago. And mission statements were, that was a thing then.
Yes.
Yeah, you were nowhere if you hadn't a mission statement.
Yeah.
So the facilitator went around the room and, you know, we had to write it down. And I said, I want to keep my name and race in my native place.
Yes.
And I lived by that before that and ever since.
Yes. Now, when you say race now, it's not necessarily a racial kind of a thing, is it really? Like
No.
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 The family
No, my
name.
race, just the family, that's all.
That's right.
The lineage.
Rices must remain in Greenridge
Forever.
forever.
Yeah.
Infinity.
Yes.
Yes.
And you try to facilitate that and
Yes.
you do that. And
Yeah.
you never let go of land. And if you can expand it, well and good.
What would you think of a man now that would have land like this now and be blessed to be born into a kingdom like Greenridge? And we are doxing ourselves the whole time. Don't be looking up where we live, you cunts. Anyway, you're going to have some queer hawks now hiding in the trees and trying to get a look at you.
You might get a bit of work out of them.
You might get it for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. If they'd feed a few calves or maybe sprung out
They'd be all right.
They wouldn't be too bad. They'd be welcome. But what I mean is, what was I saying there? I was saying something good, wasn't I? Before I said Greenwich. I'm half pissed on this whiskey, but I had something very important and good to say there. But what you're saying is the name and race in the native place. So now a lot of these people wouldn't even have a place, we'll say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or have to.
Very sad.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Terrible.
Yeah, but I was going to say, just what would you think of now a man who had land and then he decided put his greasy little paw out for a grubby little pound and decided to sell the land? What the fuck would you make of that now?
Yeah, that's very bad. I know circumstances, you know. And I mean, you have to marry and you have to breed and the various things.
Yes.
And there is a time for that, and you can't let the time pass.
Right.
Altogether. But no, I wouldn't like that now.
Do you think a man who'd sell that, should there be repercussions with the law? Should they be jailed? Do you know what I mean?
Well, they're just nothing like then. You know, you turn land into cash.
Yeah.
Just-
Cash goes.
Yeah.
Land doesn't go.
No.
You can't spend grass.
No.
Well, this is the big conversation now about the inheritance tax over in the UK.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that probably the most interesting thing about it is the Northern Irish question of, because you worked hard, your family killed many people to get this land. You've earned it.
You've earned it.
But in the north, in Ulster, these Scottish fellas were just handed land a few hundred years
they were
ago.
just planters.
Yeah.
And
Sure, what right do they have to
yeah,
not, you know what I mean?
they think after 300 years that they own it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't...
Fuck that Sky High, says I.
Yeah. I don't even know what they... I mean, it's a bit like Russia, and it's only in the 60s that the communists took all the land.
Yeah.
And then they tried to give the land back to the people who were... Because it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the ethic that we have, that you die for it.
Yeah.
And that land is the only thing on earth worth dying for.
Let me ask you a question now. In John B. Keane's play, The Field, the Bull McCabe, and we all know in this play, if you don't know the play, in the play, the Bull McCabe has a field that he's renting. But he's fertilised this field for 20 years. He's brought seaweed from the sea, put it in the field, grew up the field lovely, took the rocks out of the field himself by hand. Blood, sweat, tears. God made the world, but the Bull McCabe made that field. And then some Yank from America, some Armin O'Sullivan from America, comes over and says he's going to buy the field that the Bulls, after making, toiling, sweating, to make this, the Yank comes in to buy the field, take it out from under the Bull's nose, and the Bull McCabe kills that Yank with a rock
That he took from the field.
Huh? Yes, with the same rock, kills him. Now, if a Yank came here and tried to take your land, what would you do?
Yeah, I'd kill him.
Yes.
But I have land leased. And I mean, I couldn't kill him over that land.
No.
In fairness.
Not over the leased land.
If you own it, you own it. And
Yes.
whether you lease it or whatever
Still
you do
yours.
with it, as long as you don't sell it.
Is you don't fucking sell the land.
And you keep your name in it and keep your race in it.
Yes. And tell me this, would you have any way of expanding on the philosophy of what you think about people worrying in the world today now, and there's a lot of it, and they say, oh, the global warming, and there's the stuff going on in Sudan and all over the world and everything like this, and they're writing on Facebook and they're doing all these things. What would you think of that? Is that doing any good to anyone? What do you think of that?
I just don't know. If everybody kept their head down, worked.
Work.
The word, I don't think there's...
That was your favourite song, wasn't it? Rihanna. Work.
Oh, yeah, it could have been.
Yeah. You really enjoyed that one.
I don't... There's nothing that I can do about Sudan.
No.
I mean, writing rubbish on some old thing, that's not going to help.
That's not going to help.
Over there.
Makes you look good.
And
Yeah.
I suppose it's one thing, right, I'm old now, but I mean, I'm not going to worrying about Ukraine or Sudan
Yeah.
or climate change. I don't know what to make of climate change.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an ice age,
Yeah.
all the ice melted.
Yeah.
At the moment, all the ice is melting again. It's happening now. It happened then. There wasn't loads of cars running around the last time it melted.
Yeah.
I'm not certain what to make of it. I wouldn't like to be thought of as a climate denier,
Yes.
as the smart people say.
Yes.
But
As the Oxbridge elite.
yeah, but it all happened before. And it, we went to Belfast some time ago, and we went to the
Fenian scum. Did anyone call you Fenian scum?
No,
Take not one more step.
The place in Belfast where it's not an aquarium, it's
The Titanic.
No.
W5, is it the science
Yeah.
like activities centre almost?
No, it's you go in there and you see all the stars and the...
Oh, the observatory. Is that
The
what it's called?
planetarium.
Planetarium,
There
that's
we
the
go.
one. But there was a fella
That was
there
very
gave
good.
us a little talk,
Yeah.
And he said to sum up, he said, the Earth will be fine. He said the human race won't be on it
Yeah.
anymore. But he said that the Earth has no problem.
Because this is what
Yeah.
people say. They say, save the earth. And you kind of go, well, it's really a bit more self-serving than that, isn't it?
We're simply like pigs in a pen.
Yeah.
There are too many of us. We're gone too strong. We're like the rabbits in Australia. We're causing problems.
We're just like the rabbits in Australia.
And
Yeah.
when
Shit
And
and
something will happen,
When
that
you
the human race will be wiped out and the planet will regenerate itself.
And how do you think in the case of that happening, we the Rices will hold on to this land? That's the question.
Yeah, that is a question. But all we can do is our best.
Yeah.
And, we've held on so far and we'll do our best to,
Plodding.
plod on, work on, and go nowhere.
You
And
go nowhere.
never leave the yard.
Go nowhere, think about nothing.
Yeah.
This is
Milk cows,
interesting.
yes.
The thinking
Spread
about
slurry.
nothing.
Yeah.
You're big into thinking about nothing.
Don't
you
be
wouldn't want to be thinking.
Don't be thinking about these things.
Well, it's not that you wouldn't, but you have to come to. I think it's a tragedy that young people in school and everything
Yeah.
keep looking at their phones.
Like this lad. Like this Egypt. Look at him. Head
they're-
full of useless shite. Hasn't milked one cow.
They're upset about Ukraine. They're upset about Gaza, and they should be. But what's the point in being upset? You can't do anything about it. If you could do something, do it.
Yeah. We did. We raised a load of money.
Yeah,
Because we're
but-
good fucking people.
Yeah.
And we
But
give
members
if
of
you
society.
can't, being upset for the sake of being upset is a disaster. It's no use to God or man or anybody.
Well, the world's very big, and it's very recent that we know everything that's going on around the world.
Yeah.
And there's an argument to say we probably know slightly too much about what's going on around the world.
I shouldn't know what's happening in Sudan. I should know how much Pringles are.
Well,
And are the prices going to go up?
Yeah,
And if so, why?
yeah. Well, I'm not saying that either, but when I was younger, I would worry about Vietnam years ago.
I still worry about Vietnam.
Do you?
I don't know what they're at over there.
Yeah. But
It is worrying. It is.
At this stage, and maybe it's one of the few perks of old age,
Yeah.
that you just stop worrying about things that you can't influence or you can't do anything about them.
Yeah.
The lads in Ukraine are under pressure at the moment, but whether poor old Rice worries or gets sick over it or anything, it's not going to help him one iota.
Yeah.
Yeah. All poor old Rice can do is milk the cows that are put in front of him
Yeah.
and slog through and,
Mind his own little patch and keep the Russians out of that.
keep Putin's dirty mitts out of Greenridge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, you were saying about the pigs in a pen. There's too many people. We're doing too well. It's all just coming to a head a little bit. If you were ever to expand Greenridge and somehow took over the entire world, who's first up against the wall to get rid of for the overpopulation problem?
Well, you see, we don't have that sort of... Well, in a micro situation where we are, if my neighbour will say has no children,
Yeah.
and so his land will become available at some stage,
Yes.
and we have to make ourselves strong enough to acquire some of it, and you
And
go
would you
about
ever-
things that way.
Would you ever do anything to make sure he has no children? Like maybe put the microwave on with the door open and point it at his farm?
Yeah. No.
Chernobyl the place a bit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Scorched earth, radiation,
Yeah,
infertility.
well, you would love to do something like
You
that.
would.
Because, that's how you get on. You kind of, and every farmer is like that.
Yeah.
They want to expand. They want to get bigger. Doesn't really have anything to do with economics or anything.
It's not money. It's not. It's land.
No. Just get more land.
Get more land.
That's the.
Get more power.
Yeah.
And fucking do it. Now, what are we on there? Come on. An hour. So I'm going to get you to do that to finish now.
And thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for coming on. That was brilliant now.
No,
and that'll teach these, for want of a better word, weasels a little thing or two about being a man and you know, how to conduct themselves as an adult. But says one of the biggest wasters. But you recited a poem for us there last night inside, and you told us a story about how you came to have access to this poem. It was a poem about things that were happening.
It
was just for Vittorio being from Northern Ireland. I was milking the cows. We have a wireless in the milking parlour.
Yeah.
And this came on and it just appealed to me.
This poem was read on the radio.
Yeah, some lad was after writing it. Now, I had his name at that time, but I don't have presently. And I wrote to RT, not thinking I'd ever get it. But
you wrote them a letter?
Yeah. And the programme and the presenter and that. So they did send me back a note with the poem in it.
Yes.
That's many years ago now.
What time were you at? 70s, 80s, something like that?
80s maybe.
80s maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So...
and you've learned the poem off by heart now?
I learned the poem off by heart. Now, I can't say I still have it off by heart, but I'll
give it a go.
You have the gist of it.
Yeah.
You'll give it a go.
Close your eyes. Went like this.
Close your eyes now.
In a main abode in the Shalkin Road lived a man called William Bloat. He had a wife, the curse of his life, who continued to get his goat. Then one day at dawn, with her nightdress on, he cut her bloody throat. He settled her hash with a razor gash. Oh, never was crime so quick. And never was crime so quick. And a pool of gore on the bedroom floor grew clotted, cold and thick. And yet he was glad he had done what he had, as she lay there stiff and still. But an angry an awe of the angry law struck his soul with an icy chill, and to finish the fun so well begun, he resolved himself to kill. So he took the sheet from his wife's cold feet, and he twisted it into a rope, and he hanged himself from the pantry shelf. 'Twas an easy end, let's hope. And in the face of death, with his dying breath, he solemnly cursed the Pope. But the strangest turn to the whole concern is only just beginning. He went to hell, but his wife got well, and she's still alive and sinning. For the razor blade 'twas Dublin made, but the sheet was Belfast linen.
What the hell? That's fucking brilliant.
Very good.
Thanks a million
Thanks
for coming
so
on
much.
that.
We'll be over on the Patreon, myself and Mike.
Sign up for the Patreon.
100 good episodes. Here's to 100 more.
That's right. We'll be chatting about it. We had Carol singing last night. We'll be chatting about
beautiful.
that. And one more time for the Lord and Master of Greenwich,
Michael Rice
Senior.
Beautiful.